January,
No,
after this incident.
No, it was before the incident.
Oh, you have a counterclaim for car expenses. That part of the claim is dismissed. Now talk to me about a plane ticket. What plane ticket are you talking about?
She promised me verbally that she would pay for my plane ticket to go back home.
And she didn't for a year.
No.
Right?
No.
Forget about it. Listen, I don't know your name. You look like a nice lady. This man wouldn't know the truth if it came up and introduced himself right to his face. Correct. Look at his face. He's used to getting over. You want to get involved with that? You look like a nice lady. Do you work?
I do.
I somehow knew that you had a responsible job. Does he work?
Not
The answer is no.
No.
He doesn't work. He really doesn't know a lot about working.
No.
You think that that's going to change? It's not going to change. Go into it, eyes wide open. Eyes wide open. The guy is not a gem. Judgment for the plaintiff for assault in the amount of $10,000. This is an outrageous picture, sir. And the knuckle that has no skin on it supports this injury. You're an outrage, and I'm actually surprised you're not incarcerated. That's all. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
Kind of just glad the situation's over. I can put this behind me and move on with my life and just forget about this.
It's embarrassing what he's done.
No, I did not assault that woman at all.
I didn't know that he had a fiance. I thought he was completely single.
I pretty much laughed because I knew that she set up the whole thing to make it look more than it was.
It wasn't staged. It was from me being pushed backwards after being punched.
Close this chapter, move on with my life, and put her behind me.
I don't want it to happen to anybody else.
If that girlfriend, fiance of the defendant doesn't heed your advice about getting out while she still can, the fact that she said that she laughed off the photographs that she saw of the plaintiff's injuries, I'm just scared that she's going to be next if she hasn't been already, and that's a dangerous guy. If he's not working, he's not supporting you, he's not supportive emotionally, financially, there's absolutely no redeeming qualities about
That
him.
we can see.
Sure, that we can,
That you can
see
see.
or that are worth it.
Well, that's
for
even
your
better.
life. So, I hope she gets out.
Case number 3031, Brandenburg McLaughlin versus Irwin Jr. All parties, please step forward.
Christopher Brandenburg and Victoria McLaughlin are suing their motorcycle buyer, Carter Irwin Jr., for stealing a 2001 Harley-Davidson Heritage.
Mr. Brandenburg, you're suing the defendant for $10,000. I've read your complaint half a dozen times. I still couldn't figure it out. Mr. Irwin, you're counterclaiming for $10,000. I read your answer 1,000 times. I can't figure out what you're suing each other for. The only thing I can manage to put together, this has something to do with motorcycles.
Correct.
And it has something to do with a French bulldog and something called shatter, which I had no idea which it was, except that you wrote in your answer that he took your $7,000 worth of shatter, which is a marijuana extract. Okay, so I'm going to give you each 5 minutes to make your best case so that I understand what your case is about, because it wasn't clear. Go.
Okay, myself and Carter made a deal on a motorcycle. So we made a deal and he never followed through on...
Okay, so he never followed through on the deal. Do you have that deal in writing?
No, it was all verbal.
And how much was the deal for?
$9,000 for the Harley-Davidson shovelhead.
And then what happened?
So I live in Sunnyside, Washington. He lives in Salem, Oregon. So we had traveled back to my place and he seen the bike and he decided he liked it and wanted it. So he had no transportation back to his place. So he borrowed my wife's van to travel back. So we had a verbal agreement on that.
Did he, just a second, did he take the bike?
No, he did not take the bike.
Did he ever take the bike?
No, I delivered the bike.
Does he still have possession of the bike?
No.
Where is it now?
It is at my place.
So you have it back?
Yes, I retrieved it.
Okay, next.
When he returned the van a few days later, November 4th, and he had no transportation back, so I let him borrow my 2001 Harley-Davidson Heritage.
Okay, so you have the first bike back, but you don't have the 2001.
Correct. When I went down, I apologize.
Christopher Brandenburg and Victoria McLaughlin claimed their motorcycle buyer, Carter Irwin Jr., stole their Harley-Davidson heritage. Carter is countersuing, claiming Christopher stole his marijuana and a French bulldog.
Do you have, or did you have, possession of his 2001 Harley?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Do you still have it? No, look, don't look down. Do you still have it?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
It's at a guy's house that I know. It was sold, basically, because I didn't have the paperwork on it, like I was supposed to receive. I paid for these motorcycles.
Just a second. You paid the $9,000 for the first one?
I paid in product, Your Honor, with Shatter.
You paid in product?
Yeah, with the concentrated marijuana Shatter.
No. Show me. Show me an agreement between the two of you.
It was all verbal, Your Honor.
Show me the agreement between, okay.
It was all verbal.
Fine. Unless I have it in writing, I don't care. Do you have anything in writing to show me that you paid for this motorcycle?
Here's some of the evidence of the jars of Shatter that were taken from my house.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care about pictures of it.
Also, I have pictures of him dropping the shovel head off in my house.
Second, would you put them out, please? I don't listen to muttering. Goodbye. Is what you're telling me that you paid for this 2001 Harley, which you have, with a marijuana derivative?
Along with $1,500 cash, Your Honor, yes.
So I want you to show me where you get the $1,500 in cash from.
Well, see, we didn't do receipts. We didn't do a written contract. We didn't have any.
I didn't ask you that. I want you to show me where you got $1,500 in cash from. You have a bank account. You withdrew $1,500 from the bank account. That's all I want to say.
I don't have that with me, Your Honor.
Well, this is the dance, sir. There's not an encore to this dance. There's only one dance.
Text message saying that he was going to pay us $9,000.
May I?
He's going to transfer it.
May I see it, please? Okay, easy.
This bottom one right there.
Easy. Yeah, November 2nd, you told him that you were going to transfer $9,000.
Yes, and then that's when I went to Sunnyside and I took Shatter with me because I didn't have the money at that time to cover it. So,
Don't be ridiculous. I don't believe a word you're saying to me.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the dog. Tell me about the dog. It was an 8.5-month-old, according to what I read, French bulldog.
I'm the one that dealt with the dog stuff. Can I step over?
Who owns the dog?
I do. I have
Fine, then you
paperwork from...
Just a second.
I'd like to let her.
Transfer over there. Tell me what happened on the 28th of October with this dog.
Carter expressed that he would like a French bulldog.
Who's
or a
Carter?
mix. Carter. And so we discussed him being a guardian home. A guardian home is where they keep the dog, they feed it, water it, take care of it. It stays in their home, and then when I'm going to breed it, I get to breed the dog. And then after one breeding, then they own the dog free and clear. So that's what we had agreed on, is that he's supposed to feed and water the dog, the food that has to be of a certain quality. It has to have a backyard, it has to be fenced, they have to own their own home, yada, yada. Anyway, we found out from Carter's sister that he does not own his home, that there is not a fenced yard, and
You took the dog back.
We took the dog back.
Just a second. Is it correct, Mr. Irwin, because there's a dispute about you have the dog now?
I have placed the dog in a different home, but yes, I had the dog.
Probably better off without both of you. They have the dog back. For all intents and purposes, whatever she did with this poor creature that is clearly just being used for money, you had possession of for a while, and you had an agreement that you could keep the dog after one litter?
Yeah. I have a full fenced-in backyard.
Just a second, I don't care.
Oh, sorry.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
That was your agreement. Yeah. And when they came to get the motorcycle back, they took the dog back with them.
Yeah.
You have a counterclaim. You want the dog.
Yeah.
You can't have it. The dog is gone now to some other poor home because none of you really have this dog's best interest at heart as a pet. You're using it to make money. That's it. Okay, so this is my ruling in this very complicated case. They're going to get their motorcycle back. They're going to get that because you're going to tell me a neutral location and a time and a date when and where they should pick it up. Tell me now.
Let's say the 15th.
15th of this month?
Yeah.
15th. Where should they pick it up?
Anywhere. Anywhere in Salem.
The police station?
Police station.
Yeah,
Great. What time of day?
Say by noontime.
Noon. High noon. High noon on the 15th. Motorcycle transfer. The puppy is in another home. This case is over. Goodbye.
This court is adjourned.
I thought she was firm but fair. I mean, everything he said was fabricated.
Well, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is, and I'll make it right.
That the girlfriend handed the dog over. He never owned the dog. He was supposed to be being a guardian home for it.
Well, they didn't give me an opportunity to. They just came to my house, physically took the dog out of my old lady's hands.
And he wasn't treating the dog how we felt was appropriate.
There isn't a friendship.
Oh, it's done and over. I would suggest to nobody do business with that guy or even, associate with him.
You know I don't care about motorcycles. They'll each get their motorcycles back, and I really don't care. And I certainly don't care about shatter, although I'm glad I learned what the term meant, because you like, at my age, to learn a new thing every day. It keeps you...
Learn something new every day.
What I am so sad about is, every decade or so, there's a popular dog, that everybody's got to have. It's the dog. And then people started to breed them as hobby sports, and they don't know anything about breeding.
Yeah.
As an animal person, that these little creatures won't have a chance to have any sort of a pleasant, normal life because they're going to be used for breeding and then discarded. It actually outrageous me, and he didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
The dog was sick, and I've been asking them to come get the dog.
She said the dog had rabies.
It was just getting out of hand.
Where's the dog now?
I just gave the dog away.
The only sadness for me in this entire case is this puppy.
This is Judy Justice. Kiara Broomfield White is suing her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, for the cost of a Labradoodle.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3041, Bloomfield White versus Coker.
Thank you. Ms. White, the thrust of your case is that you sold a dog to the defendant and he didn't pay for it.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has a couple of defenses, one of which was that the dog was sick.
Yes, ma'am.
He had lots of vet bills for the dog, and ultimately those vet bills far outweighed what he owed on the dog. And is it your wife?
No, ma'am.
Girlfriend, whoever
Friend,
lived?
yes.
Your girlfriend with whom you live?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. They had enough of the dog, and he says he gave it away.
Well, before I did that, I asked them repeatedly, can they just come get the dog because we were put in the middle of a family triangle.
Let's start out with where you got the dog and what kind of dog it is.
Yeah, so I got the dog from my mom on August 21st.
Okay, that's what I read, August 21st of last year.
Yes.
How old was the dog when you got it from your mother?
She was 2 months old at the time.
Okay, would you step up, please? Tell me your last name.
White.
Miss White, tell me when you bought this dog.
I believe it was June 28th, 29th.
And how much did you pay for the dog?
$800.
How long did you keep the dog? For just 2 months?
A little over a month, yes.
And then what happened to the dog?
I decided to sell the dog to my daughter at that.
Why?
I was going through some medical issues, and I thought that I would be able to handle it, but I was completely wrong.
And you sold the dog to your daughter?
I did.
How much did you sell the dog for?
$900.
So you made a profit from your daughter?
No, ma'am. I also sold her a cage along with the dog that I paid $125 for.
So you sold her not only the dog, but the cage?
Yes.
For $900?
Yes.
And how much did your daughter pay you for the dog?
Nothing.
Zero, right? That's
Correct.
what I'm getting from here. And then, Miss White, you decided that you couldn't care for the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
It was October. I found out that I had conceived and the dog was not potty trained. The smell of it was just making me really sick, so I decided to go ahead and sell the dog myself. I posted a post on Facebook on October 17th.
You had the dog August, September, and October.
Correct.
When did you take the dog to the vet?
I did not.
The answer is you did not.
No,
When did you take the dog to the vet?
never.
Sure. When did you take the dog to the vet?
I never took the dog to the vet.
So now we have a dog that you acquired in June that had to be at least 6 weeks old, so it had to be born sometime late April or May.
It was born May 31st, 2022.
So you took the dog when it was 4 weeks old, a little early to take a puppy. Okay, and when you took the dog, did you get paperwork that told you what kind of shots the dog had had?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to take a look at the paper. I see the dog was dewormed on 2 occasions, but I don't see any shots.
Okay, so this is what she wrote down here. So this
I don't care what she wrote down there. You have a dog. The dog is a puppy. It needs shots. It needs shots before it can go around other dogs. You mean you had no clue as to this, and neither did you, Miss White? That the dog needed shots?
No, actually, when me and him made the agreement for him to come and purchase the dog, we had a phone call.
I don't
On
care
that
about a phone call. I'm talking about,
was informed.
you don't understand what I'm saying to you, madam. What I'm saying to you, your mother had a dog that was born sometime in May. She had the dog June, July, between the two of you, August, right? You know that a dog, like a baby, has to get injections, shots for rabies, for distemper. Shots to make it healthy so that it's around other dogs, it won't get sick. Neither you nor your mother took the dog to get put it down unless you have shots to show me. I'm not interested in anything other than your neglect of this dog for 6 months. That's all I'm interested in. Right now, that's what I'm interested in. Your neglect of this puppy for 6 months.
The dog was due for shots in September when her insurance became active.
Let me explain something to you. The dog wasn't due when her insurance became active. The dog was due when it's a puppy. It gets puppy shots. The fact that you didn't want to give the dog shots until it got insurance is not the dog's problem. That's your problem. The puppy needed puppy shots. Within 6 months, you had the dog for 6 months between the two of you and didn't take care of it. And I don't understand that. What?
So I definitely do apologize. It was my first time having a puppy, and I didn't know that it needed a shot.
You note in the chart that the dog was dewormed. That's all that you gave me.
I didn't know what type of shots the dog needed. And
Then you
that's
look
ignorant.
just a second. Then you look on the internet. You ask the breeder from whom you bought it. You ask people. You find out. You don't do nothing. It's a live animal. You're supposed to take care of it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you agree. Because his defense is that when he got the dog got sick. Miss White, let me understand your complaint. You charged him $1,600 for a dog you didn't pay for, that you still owed the full price on. Am I reading this wrong?
No, you're not.
Don't help me. I don't need your help.
Yes, ma'am.
I need her help.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor. My agreement was that I was supposed to pay my mom the money out of the sale of the dog.
Just a
She
second.
was going
You
to
had
get-
the dog August, September, and October. You paid your mother nothing.
I got the dog August 21st. My mother and I made the agreement that I would not immediately pay her for the dog as we had just both moved to the area and I didn't have it. So she knew that I did not have
I
the
don't
money
care
that
what
would
she
pay for
knew.
the dog.
You didn't buy the dog from your mother to resell it, I assume.
No, originally I was going to keep the dog, but I decided not to keep the dog. But either way, our agreement was still for me to pay her.
I don't care. You sold him the dog for $1,600 and you didn't pay for it.
Claims her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, owes for the cost of a Labradoodle. Aaron says Kiara sold him a sick dog.
Okay, in addition to not paying for it, which, that's between you and your mother, has something to do with the legality of your lawsuit because you can't sell something that you don't own, and you don't own it until you pay for it, right? My real problem with the two of you is you don't appear to be people without any common sense or brains. How do you not know that a puppy needs puppy shots before it can be involved with other dogs, walk around, be near other dogs, that it needs shots just like a baby does.
Your Honor, I was aware of the fact that the dog was supposed to go for shots in September.
No, it wasn't supposed to go in September,
I got
madam.
the dog August 21st from my mom. My mom told me the following month that the dog was going to need shots, and that was only like a week or so from the August when I got the dog.
So where did you get this idea that this puppy that you had didn't need shots before September? Your daughter a moment ago said September was the date because that's when your insurance kicked in.
September 1st, yes. I got the idea from Tina, the person that I actually purchased the dog from. She told me that the dog would be due for his first shots the last week of August. But the problem is that he told us the dog had rabies. And I researched that.
That it had
and
rabies.
there is no... Sure.
Who told you the dog had rabies? Oh, I'm not talking about him.
That's why he didn't want to pay, because he said the dog had rabies.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know whether the dog had rabies or not. I know that you and your daughter were negligent. And your daughter has no claim because she didn't pay for the animal. You did. You're not the plaintiff. You paid $800. You sold it to your daughter for $900, and you sold it to him without shots for $1,600, of which he paid you $5.
No, ma'am. We had an agreement to pay the $5, but I wasn't giving up
Just
nothing.
a second. So you paid nothing?
Nothing. No, ma'am. The first payment wasn't due until I got paperwork and everything on the dog.
Okay. So you got the dog in October, October
Yes, ma'am.
17th.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the vet bills after October 17th.
I have that, and I got her rabies shot
just like-
certificate and things like that.
This doesn't show me anything.
Yes, ma'am.
This shows me a surgery consult. I don't know.
No, he wanted to do surgery, and
Just a-
yes, ma'am.
This isn't a vet bill. I've been doing this for 28 years. So if you're not going to be able to show me what I want, don't waste my time with the zh on the machine.
Okay.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
I don't have it on me right
Then
now.
just say I don't have it.
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why don't you have the vet bill? We're not talking about forever ago, sir. All you have to do is say to the vet, I'm going to court, I need a copy of my bill.
That's my...
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I want you to tell me, because I'm not crazy about either one of you. You, because you were both negligent with regard to this puppy. You had no right to get a puppy if the two of you weren't emotionally or financially able to take care of it. You should certainly understand that when you get a puppy, when you buy a puppy, did you pay for it, by the way?
I did.
Okay.
And
And
I
if
had
you
to pay.
paid $800 for a puppy, you ask certain questions. I've had dogs in my life for 70 years. Every time I purchase a dog, the person from whom I purchase it gives me a piece of paper that says when the dog was born, who the parents were, when it got its first shot, when it's got its second shot, when it's due for its third shot. That's what you get. And it's hard for me to comprehend that neither one of you really either understood it or just figured, well, I had the dog for 6 weeks, that I'm going to sell it to my daughter. I don't know, she'll want it, she doesn't want it. She's going to sell it to somebody else for twice as much as I paid for it. So she sold it to him, allegedly, for twice as much as you paid for it. Sick. Where's the dog now?
Well, I repeatedly asked him to come get the... I
said-
gave
I
the
asked
dog
him-
to a friend of mine.
Did you give the dog to him?
Yes,
No payment.
none at all.
Why?
Well, because...
Not well. Well is not
okay,
an answer.
I'm sorry.
Well is not an answer. You understand
Yes, ma'am.
that I have problems with your veracity
Yes, ma'am.
already.
Okay. So I just gave the dog away after I repeatedly asked them if they want the dog back.
Just
3 dogs are in the house with us, which is what they call Katana, which we call Lucky. And then I have a little small Chihuahua, a miniature Chihuahua, named Kimura. And then we have another dog that is called, what is her name? China. Yes, so we have 3 dogs in the house. But I had 3. Now it's 2.
when did you give the dog away?
It had to have been like December sometime.
Your Honor.
What?
The only reason I wasn't just trying to double charge him for the dog, I was trying to get the money back that I had put into the dog. My mom put that amount, but
What did you put into the dog?
I had to pay a lease agreement to have the dog.
Who cares? What is that?
I paid $500.
Who cares?
Well, when I was selling the dog, I was looking to get my compensation back, and that's what
That
we
has
agreed
nothing to
upon.
do with him or the dog. That
We
has nothing
agreed
to-
upon that price for the
He's not
dog.
paying you anything.
Okay.
He's not paying you anything. He gave the dog away. Would you tell me the dog got a rabies shot on October 31st?
Yes, ma'am.
What you need an x-ray for?
Well, see, because she was throwing up and we were trying to figure out what was going on with the dog. She was sick, so we had to take her to an emergency clinic, which that I explained that to them.
Just a second. What emergency clinic?
It's called hospital.
Look it up. Get a number. I'm going to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
If Sarah called this vet hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And you gave them authorization, the dog's name that you gave the dog was what?
Lucky.
Lucky.
Lucky. Yes, ma'am.
Gave the vet hospital your name, the dog's name Lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
How much would they tell me that your vet bill was for Lucky?
It was $1,022 and some change.
Do me a favor. Call them. I want you to find out, Sarah, how much he paid and what was done to the dog. When you had the dog, Miss White, and you said the dog was making all over your house and you had to get rid of it because you couldn't stand the smell, didn't you think that the dog was sick?
No, she wasn't potty trained. She was still a puppy. The smell of it was a lot for me being pregnant. It would cause me to be sick and nauseous all the time. He called me and he was like, why do you want to get rid of the dog? What's wrong with the dog? I said, well, nothing's wrong with her. She's just really active. I'm pregnant. Everything was fine. I told him then I didn't take her for her shot that she needed in September. He was fine with that. We agreed on the
No, just a
price.
second. Just stop there. You didn't take up for her shots.
Yeah, in September, like my mom had told me I needed to. I did make him aware of that before he even came up.
You do understand that if I find that he, in fact, spent over $800, which is what your mother paid for the dog, over $800 in vet bills for this dog, you get nothing. Do you understand?
Okay.
Because you sold him a sick dog.
Is accusing her husband's co-worker, Aaron Coker, of refusing to pay for the Labradoodle he purchased. Aaron claims he had to pay for vet bills because the dog was already sick.
You do understand that if I find that he, in fact, spent over $800 in vet bills for this dog, you get nothing.
Okay, but
But
Your Honor.
her husband agreed that the dog maybe got sick because the dog was eating out of the cat bowl, drinking the cat water from a stray cat. That would make a dog sick right there.
Absolutely.
So after the husband told me that, I already know what it was.
Okay, Your Honor, as far as the shots, I understand that the dog was supposed to go and get its shots. And I did know that, and that's why I let him know that there was shots that I did not give the
Doesn't matter.
dog.
To me, it doesn't matter.
Well, I just want you to know that I made him aware of it, and he was fine with the fact that the dog needed shots and paying for the shots that the dog needed.
Paying for shots doesn't cost $1,000. It doesn't cost $1,400. It only costs that kind of money if the dog is sick.
And she was sick. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, that's not what they informed us. I have 3 different messages, 3 different things
all
that
I'm
they
telling
told
you is I'm going to see if I can get a response on the phone, if I can. If he paid anywhere near $800 to the vet to take care of a sick puppy, end of story.
Hi, this is Sarah Rose, and I'm a law clerk for Judge Judy Scheinlin with the show Judy Justice. And we have a case in front of us right now regarding Aaron Coker and his dog Lucky, who came in, and I just needed a write-up of what he paid as well as what the dog received. Okay, so you have no record of him then? Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for your help.
The fact that you never had a dog before, that you didn't know, that you were pregnant, that you were nauseous, all is meaningless to the dog that was neglected. Meaningless. Now you can sit down.
Your Honor, I have a question.
I don't answer questions.
Okay, well...
I ask questions. Yes?
They had no record of Aaron Coker or Lucky.
This was less than a year ago. You can get a vet bill.
Yes, ma'am.
You knew you were coming to court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Miss White, first of all, you had an animal that you hadn't paid for, so you had no right to sell it. I actually find that your conduct and your mother's, although not intentionally negligent with regard to this dog, was in fact negligent, and you sold him a dog that he got rid of after he took her to the vet, because I believe he probably took her to the vet because she was sick. Did you have a cat?
Yeah, there was a stray cat outside, and they would sleep next to each other outside in the backyard. The cat and the dog, like, they would just be out there taking a nap together when I went outside.
You do understand that puppies can get sick from other animals. Cats or dogs, they don't discriminate whether it's a cat or a dog that has an intestinal bug, and you have a cat outside that you feed outside.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm not denying that the dog needed its shots. I know that it's needed its shots, and I know that it could have contracted worms because worms is something you can get. I learned that after the fact.
Or other things.
The dog was completely healthy when I gave him the dog. He even sent me a picture of the dog playing with his other dog when he received the dog.
Maybe, and maybe the dog got sick hanging around with his other dogs. That's possible.
They changed the story 3 different times. And I have all the messages of them changing their story every time for what was actually wrong, for why they wouldn't pay me the money for the dog.
First of all, you didn't pay any money for the dog.
I paid to have the dog in my home.
Who cares what you paid your landlord? I don't care what you paid. No court cares what you paid your landlord in order to have a dog. Nobody cares. You didn't pay for the dog. There is a certain amount of fairness that if your mother is owed money for this dog, and even though she was neglectful of this animal, he really had no right to turn around and give it away to somebody else. And I'm not so sure that after he got a 6-month-old dog well again with all the shots, that there was no money exchanged with regard to the dog. I'm not so sure, sir.
Well, I didn't charge anybody. I asked them numerous of times. They wouldn't come and get the dog. It was just getting out of hand.
Well, it was getting out of hand because, sir, you hadn't paid them any money. When were you supposed to make your first payment?
Like November 10th or 11th.
Okay, and you had the dog until December.
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you make your first payment?
Because the dog was sick and I've been asking them to come get the dog.
First of all, you can't tell them to come and get the dog because you bought it. You bought it without a contract that said it had a health guarantee, a health warranty, whatever. That doesn't mean she's getting a penny because she didn't pay for the dog.
Okay.
You had an arrangement with her.
Yes, ma'am.
To pay her in November. You didn't do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, stand up, sir. Did your daughter agree to pay you back after she got paid from him?
She did.
You see, my problem is I could dismiss your case and then your mother would have to come back because she's the actual owner of the dog because you didn't pay for the dog. And there is no way that you're getting twice as much as what you paid for the dog. But I don't think, Mr. Coker, that you're being honest. You certainly didn't bring me the proof. You certainly didn't bring me evidence that was either in your possession or capable of being in your possession. And I don't think that these people in Buford who spoke to her were lying to her when they said they don't have you in their system with a dog whose name is Lucky. Then you have to pay something for this dog that you just gave away. Because I'm not so sure that you just gave it away. The only sadness for me in this entire case is that this poor puppy had, by the time it was 6 months old, 4 different owners, all of whom were neglectful. You, and I don't know about the person that you ultimately gave the dog to. I don't know whether that person is going to be using or abusing her because, according to you, he got her for free. And even those shelters that really have rescue animals, they charge something because they want people to have a certain financial investment in taking care of a pet before they give you a pet. So that you gave what was an expensive dog to this person for free is something that I don't buy, like I don't buy the vet bill. You get $100 for the dog. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $100. That's it. Next time, take better care of animals.
This court is adjourned.
I mean, it was a fair judgment. I wish I had brought the right document with me and I didn't, so.
He lied about having the bills, and he gets to get away with not paying it.
It was a family feud between the mother and the daughter, and now the mother is standing with the daughter now, so.
She was completely healthy, and he knows that.
She was sick, she was small.
He just didn't want to pay that much for a dog.
I'm happy she found a great home.
That was one of the few cases in my career where I really had a tough time making a judgment.
Yeah.
Sarah.
And I don't necessarily disagree with your judgment in the end. I know it was meant to be sort of a wrist slap to the defendant, of course, for being, a little untruthful in multiple parts of his story. But technically, the plaintiff was not the right plaintiff.
You really can't at the last minute just substitute one plaintiff for another. They were just foolish and neglectful of this puppy and got it for all the wrong reasons. His story about this $1,400 vet bill was untruthful. And I knew it was untruthful because if you print up that piece of paper, the
vet logo would be right all over that.
The logo was on top, and it doesn't say range of treatment, proposed bill.
It looks that way when a defendant prepares their own statement
and makes
for the
a
sake-
copy of it.
Yeah.
Right.
and Reza Mahasani are suing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago for medical bills after being hit by a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 2020 Hildreth Mahasani versus Santiago.
Thank you. Miss Hildreth. Yes. Pronounce your last name for me, sir.
Mahasani.
Mahasani.
Yes.
You two were crossing the street in San Diego?
In Carlsbad Village.
Is that in San Diego?
It is. It's a suburb of San Diego.
Is that where you live?
Correct, in Carlsbad.
And you were hit by Miss Santiago, who was driving her mother's car.
Correct.
Miss Santiago acknowledges that she hit you, and you were seriously injured. You've had shoulder surgery. You were both injured.
Correct.
When did this happen?
This happened on Friday, September 4th, 2020.
I just have a couple of preliminary questions before I get into the facts of it.
Sure.
I assume that since this accident happened in 2020, that you tried to sue either the defendant and or her mother as the car's owner.
Well, we would have done so, but the driver was uninsured.
That's the question. You would have done so, except the mother had no insurance.
It is my knowledge that the mother had insurance, but and which I have the evidence, that her daughter was excluded from the policy.
The policy, and therefore the insurance company disclaimed.
Correct.
I'd like to see that. That's why your mother's not here.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's why your mother's not here, Miss Santiago.
Without her knowing?
Miss Santiago, that's why your mother's not here.
No.
Well, were you excluded from the insurance policy? That's either a yes or a no.
Yes.
Then you shouldn't have been driving the car.
Yeah, I know.
Just a second. Then you
I
shouldn't
know.
have been driving the car.
I took the car.
I don't want to
knowing
hear
that-
I don't want to hear some pat answer from you. Do you understand? That's why your mother's not here.
Well, it was
I didn't ask
my
you a question.
responsibility,
I
and
didn't
I took
ask
that car
you.
without
Do you understand?
permission.
They don't listen to you when I'm speaking. When I ask you a question, you'll answer me. I don't want to hear some pat answer. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries. I want to hear a lot of I'm sorries.
Why would I say I'm sorry if they didn't pay attention when they were crossing?
You weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
Well, I was paying
You
attention.
weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car.
But why they didn't pay attention?
I'm not speaking to you. I just told you why. Why should I
There
say
was
I'm
no
sorry?
distraction.
Hey, be quiet. Why should I say I'm sorry if they weren't paying attention? Because you weren't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. If you weren't behind the wheel of a car, whether they were paying attention or not would be irrelevant. You weren't supposed to be driving. She thinks you have a big mouth. You don't have a bigger mouth than me, madam. I guarantee you, the last person who drove yesterday that wasn't supposed to drive yesterday because they were drunk killed
was not
six.
drunk.
Nobody's listening to you. When I'm speaking, nobody's listening to you. Killed 6 people. The last person who drove that wasn't supposed to be behind the wheel of a car killed 6 people. You were not.
I wasn't
Hey,
drunk.
I'm speaking. You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. Don't you understand that?
I understand
Are you
that.
stupid?
I'm not-
You were not supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. You were an excluded driver, and you were an excluded driver for a reason.
Not only that,
Now, just a second. Don't speak. Now I'm going to read and calm myself down. I don't like my blood pressure to get too high. I just don't like stupid. Our investigation, which is after you notified the insurance company, determined that the driver of the insured's car, Jennifer Ramirez, was not covered by the policy. That's what you told me. Correct. I don't understand this. You were walking, correct?
correct.
What is this? Your driving privileges will be suspended on November 21st. What is that?
I think there was a misunderstanding that we were actually driving a vehicle.
Yeah.
And when I called the DMV and I explained that, no, we're actually pedestrians, then they said, oh, I'm sorry. disregard that.
And
Do you have a letter from them indicating that this is wrong?
They just told me that we can disregard it, and they just corrected it. That's all they did.
And
Can I
it
say
was not
something?
because she was also unlicensed.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I'm not there with Big Mouth. Okay, this happened on September 4th, 2020. What time of the day?
It was in the evening. It
What
was
time?
About 8
I think
p.m.
it was, around 8 o'clock.
Light or dark outside?
Dark.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of
It is.
the intersection where this happened?
It is, Your Honor.
Ms. Santiago, is that a fair and accurate representation of the intersection where this happened?
Yes.
So at the intersection where this happened, there were lines across the highway indicating pedestrian walkway.
Correct.
And there were 2 signs indicating pedestrian walkway.
There are 3 signs. One in the center median and one on each side.
On September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
Mahosany claimed 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago struck them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license. Jennifer says they were not paying attention and walked into oncoming traffic.
Now, on September 4th, Ms. Santiago, this requires a yes or a no answer from you. On September the 4th, 2020, did you have a valid driver's license?
I didn't, Your Honor.
I said it's either a yes or a no. Did you have a valid driver's license?
No.
Did you ever have a valid driver's license?
No.
Do you have a valid driver's license today?
No, Your Honor, because they...
That's a no. What's your name?
Vanessa,
What?
Giles,
Stand up. Did you come with her today?
yes,
How did you get here?
I drove. My license,
Just a sec. You drove.
yes.
In whose car?
My car,
What kind of car is it?
Kia,
Did you ever drive with Miss Santiago?
yes.
When? Did you ever drive in a car where she was the driver and you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th, 2020. 2 years
Other than
ago.
September 4th, 2020, did you ever drive with Miss Santiago where you were the passenger?
Yes.
When?
September 4th.
I said other than
Other
September
than that,
4th.
no.
Other than September 4th.
Other than that, no.
On September 4th at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Where were you?
We were at the beach. Carlsbad Beach.
Sure, you were at the beach. Who else was at the beach?
Santiago and another friend. He's a minor. He's 16.
There were 3 of you at the
Yes.
beach. Anybody else that you knew at the beach?
No.
How long had you been at the beach?
Like for an hour.
So you got there at 6 o'clock in the evening.
We got there at 7. We were going back home at 8.
So you got to the beach at 7. What did you do at the beach at 7 o'clock?
We were just sitting there, eating, relaxing, having a good time, as teenagers that we were.
Now, did Miss Santiago pick you up or did you meet at her house? Just think, take a breath. Did you meet at her house or did Miss Santiago pick you up?
She picked me up.
How far do you live from her?
2 minutes away.
And what about the 16-year-old minor?
3 minutes away.
Did she pick up the 16-year-old minor?
Yes.
How old was Miss Santiago in September of 2020?
18.
Are you a good friend of hers?
Yes, I am.
You knew she didn't have a driver's license?
Yes.
Did you know why she didn't have a driver's license?
She was still studying for a test.
Had she taken the test before?
Yes,
Yeah,
she
just-
had.
She had taken the test before. Do you remember how many times?
Yes.
How many times did she take the test?
2 times.
And the 2 times she took the test, she failed it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So now she's driving without a license because she's failed her driving test twice at the time of this. So she's studying to pass it maybe for the 3rd time, right?
Yes.
And now we have 2 years later, she still doesn't have a driver's license.
Yes.
Do you know why?
No.
Well, you're her good friend. Didn't you ask her? Well, it's 2 years later. Did you ever pass your driving test?
She hasn't yet.
Sit. Now tell me what happened at 8 o'clock on the 4th of September 2020.
I have pictures if you like, and would it be okay to approach the screen to show you better?
No, it's not necessary. You were crossing the street.
Correct.
In a crosswalk, she hit you.
Correct. We were.
You were
That's what
crossing the
happened.
street in a crosswalk and she hit you.
Yeah. So we had come to the crosswalk sign on the left side of the photo. We pressed the button. It illuminated the flashing lights to indicate that it was okay to cross. We looked to the left. Those two cars were already parked. We proceeded to the middle and noticed that the car furthest, in the furthest lane from us, that car was already parked. We proceeded and we were hit.
What happened when she hit? Don't, hey, don't speak. Hey, listen, for someone who can't take and pass a driver's test 3 times, at least I would keep my mouth shut until I look at you for an answer. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it was estimated by the officer that we...
No. She hit you in a crosswalk. That's a crosswalk. This young lady knew I'm not... Did you hear me? I'm not speaking to you. You don't understand this was a really bad day for this kind of case to come into court. You do understand that?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you know why this is a very bad day for your case to come into court?
No.
Then you don't read the newspapers. I suggest if you read the newspaper, maybe you would be able to pass your driving test. Because either you failed the written portion or you failed the driving portion, one or the other. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Now we understand each other. Now you're almost at I'm sorry. You're almost at I'm sorry. When the defendant's car struck you, where did you land?
I have photos to show.
I'd like to see it.
It kind of shows in the second photo there.
Oh, you hit her windshield. Who hit her windshield?
We
That you?
did, Your Honor. And the hood.
That's not true. I only saw that her husband, that he hit the shield. It wasn't her.
What an idiot. Kevin, I would like you to show Miss Santiago that photograph and this one. Can I see the police report, please? I'd also like you to show her these. I just want her to take a look at them. To know what happens when you act irresponsibly. And you do things that you're not supposed to do, like take a car and drive it when you have no license, when you failed your driving test twice.
Lisa Hildreth and Reza Mahassani are accusing 20-year-old Jennifer Santiago of hitting them in a crosswalk while she was driving without a license.
Okay, your last name is?
Gilles?
You spoke to the police that day.
Yes, I did.
I don't know what you're doing here as a witness. She stated she did not see what happened. That's what it says here.
Yes.
Now, just a second. That's what it says here. Uncross your arms. Now you can sit down. Gilles stated she did not see what happened. However, she identified Miss Santiago as the driver. And then there was a witness. Witness 1 stated she was riding as a passenger in a vehicle driving northbound on the 3100 block of Carlsbad Boulevard. The 2 plaintiffs were crossing the road in a marked crosswalk on the south side of the intersection of Carlsbad Boulevard and Oak Avenue. The 2 were crossing from the west side of the street to the east side of the street. The yellow warning lights next to the crosswalk were flashing.
They were not.
Witness 1 observed Plaintiff 1 driving northbound towards the crosswalk at a fast speed. She drove through. I'm speaking, not you.
I was not.
I'm speaking, not you. I'm reading from a statement in the police report from a witness who stopped when this accident happened that you don't know. Neither do you. Okay, so now we have a witness who neither one of you know, who said the yellow lights were flashing, even if they weren't. There's a crosswalk, and there are signs that said pedestrian. But this witness says the lights were flashing. Then the officer who did a blood test there for alcohol states as follows. During the investigation, P1, that would be you, displayed objective symptoms of intoxication. I noticed her eyes were slightly red and watery. Her speech was very quiet. I determined P1 was under the influence of cannabis.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second. Do you have any supplementary police reports?
The only other thing that I have from the officer is an email that he...
No. An email to whom?
An email from the police officer to us.
I'd like to see it. Thank you. Okay, so what you said to the police officer was, and the police officer responded to you, that the report came back negative.
Correct.
And he said, I'm not changing it. Therefore, it's not a criminal matter. You have to sue her civilly. Correct. Because clearly the accident was her fault.
Correct.
Were you taken to the hospital that day?
Both were.
And you were taken to jail?
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a driving test? Month and year?
I haven't taken no driving test.
When was the last time you took a driving test, madam? You failed twice. So I want to know when the last time was that you took a driving test.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Did you take a driving test in the year 2021?
Yeah, I did.
Did you pass that driving test?
No.
Was that your third or fourth driving test?
That was the second.
No, you took two, according to your friend, before 2020.
I know.
So I asked you, in 2021, did you take it? You said yes, you didn't pass it. And I asked you, was that the third or the fourth test that you had?
That was my second.
No. I don't know how much more that a court system can do, but to say to people who don't have driver's licenses, especially in your case where you tried to get a license but failed to pass on at least 2 occasions before this incident, which means that you were a risk to be on the road because you couldn't pass a driving test twice before this incident. Now you want to tell me whether you, and this requires a short answer, not one of your long ones. Did you have your mother's permission to take the car that day to pick her up and go to the beach?
No.
Have you ever had your mother's permission to take the car and go anywhere?
No.
So in effect, if you had no license and you didn't ask for permission, then you stole the car.
No.
What do you mean no? You didn't have permission of the owner to take the car. You weren't a licensed driver. Therefore, there was no insurance. Well, let's go back. Did you ever ask your mother to use the car?
No, not at all.
And what happened after you had this accident in your mother's car and after you got out of jail? What happened between you and your mother?
Well, she was sad because I was in jail, and well, she was also mad because, like, why would I take the car without her permission?
Why did you take the car without her permission?
Well, I honestly didn't thought that this would happen.
Nobody thinks that an accident is going to happen. I don't think you intentionally hit these 2 people.
No.
I don't think you intentionally hit these 2 people. Are you ready to say I'm very sorry yet?
Yeah, I told them we have talked before, I told them that I was sorry, and I'm telling them again that I'm sorry.
Good. That's better. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm really pleased with the judge's decision.
I didn't see anything until the guy hit the windshield.
So we're here, and we're grateful for that.
I was super scared. Like, I was like, I killed them. Like, I was crying in jail.
We both have to deal with physical injuries, but like Lisa said, it was the unluckiest and luckiest moment of our life. So we're grateful that we're here.
Being pretty close to 18 myself, I can understand.
18-year-old Bella North and her mother, Angela North, are suing business owner Heather Olson for car damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2092, North versus Olson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss North, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat? Because you actually weren't involved nor a witness to the incident. Are you the owner of the car?
No, ma'am.
Okay, why don't you have a seat? Tell me your first name.
Bella.
Bella. Bella, from what I gather from reading the papers, you and the defendant's daughter were good friends
Yes, still are.
and have been friends for a very long time. So, not a very difficult case. You were going to visit Miss Olson's daughter, Lotus. And according to you, you've done that innumerable times in the past. You were also 17 at the time?
Yes.
You went to visit Lotus, I'm trying to find the date in your complaint, on April 16th of 2022.
Yes.
And when you got to the house, which you had done many, many times before, according to you, you parked behind the defendant's car.
Yes, I did.
Was the defendant in her car at the time you parked your car?
I did not see the car on when I pulled up behind it. I turned around for a moment to gather my things, to my backpack, my charger, everything. I then look up and I see the car is on. I never saw anyone.
You never saw anyone get in the car?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, could you tell me what kind of car were you driving?
A 2001 Honda Accord.
So a very small car.
Yes, sedan.
And you were in a large car, Miss Olson? Your car is a large car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Suburban.
Now, can you tell me why you parked behind her car? If you parked behind her car, you were blocking her in.
Yes. So I parked behind her car because Lotus has told me in the past.
You can't tell me anything that Lotus told you.
Okay. I parked behind her car so that the driveway to my left was free for people to come in and out, because I am aware that she does have residents in her home, and I was...
But that means that she couldn't get her car out if you were parked right behind her.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is there parking on the street, Mrs. Olson?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I see that? No, I won't. Thank you.
May I describe what is in the photo?
Well, I'm just asking you, is there on-street parking here or not?
It's not laid out, but you're allowed to park on the street. We have also additional parking next door at the neighbors. They've invited us to park.
No, you can't tell me that they invited you. I'm just asking whether Miss North could have parked someplace else. And the answer is she could have. It was more convenient to park behind your Suburban. Now, as you turned around to gather your backpack, according to your complaint, you felt something hit your car, your 21-year-old car, right?
Yes.
Would you look up 2001 Honda? Where did you get the car from?
I got it from a small dealership in my town, Sarasota.
Who purchased it?
I did.
For how much?
$3,000.
Okay, and you felt something hit your car.
Yes.
And then you looked up, according to what I read, and you saw the backup lights on.
Yes, I looked up, saw the reverse lights on, waited, saw the car back up into me, hit my car, I honk, the car stops, the car then continues to reverse again, hitting my car, I honk, they stop, I then turn back on my car, I reverse away so she can get out, and then she proceeds to leave.
Okay. And show me what the damage was to your car.
Yes, ma'am.
The Kelly Blue Book value is $2,500 to $3,500, so right in the range. Great.
What is this? A picture of?
The 2 scratches and the dent.
Let me see the whole car.
I do not have a picture of my whole car.
Well, that's unfortunate. I see a scratch. I don't know if it's a scratch. I see some...
There's a hole towards the corner of the light. That was not there before. My whole light is...
You mean this?
Mm-hmm. Yep. See where there's a gap in the light is supposed to be collided with the bumper, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It was hit and damaged.
Okay. Did you see her car when you came out?
No, Your Honor.
She didn't see you